everyone, Villem back with another video. This time I'm going to step through an older track of mine called Solar Plexus. A few people have been asking about how I did the bass. I'll get onto that shortly. What I'm going to do is just step through the whole track. It's the first time I've opened it up probably for about 2 years, and I've checked to see if it works, and it works. So I'm just going to step through and show you exactly what I did to build the track. It was released on Samurai Red Seal in 2012 and did pretty well when it came out. Okay, so at the top here we've got this lovely brown colour, which is, these are all synths that are recorded from an outboard synth called a Novation K Station. It's a pretty cheap synth, about 100 quid, but it's got some nice little pad noises on there. What I'm going to do, I'll just solo these and just show you exactly what's going on here. So these were just some chords that I'd played in, and then layered up another synth. So we've got this one. So it's just following the same melody. So yeah, I mean that's just a simple little synth idea, but it's the start of a tune. What else we got? We've just got a simple hi-hat. This is just from a pack called NBC drums. Hi-hats sound like a nice hi-hat, and it looks like I've just given it a boost around there, probably to just thicken up a little bit. I mean, what I noticed is that on this is like the master output, just to go on a little tangent, is that I've got nothing on the master output. Nowadays I always run a isotope ozone maximizer, and then once the track is getting near the end I'll actually give it a master. But here it looks like I was not really doing that back then. I just dropped it down to -6 and let the mastering engineer bring it up to speed. What else we got? This looks like it's some sort of effects. It's an effects with a stereo delay on, and that looks like it's just a vengeance pack. So the track just builds from there. Got some pads, got a hi-hat, simple kind of DJ friendly. That happens for 16 bars, and then something else comes in here. It's an extra. No, that just sounds the same. It's the same. It's basically just the same pad, just looped over and over. So for the first 32 bars, it's just kept it simple. Looks like another effects noise coming in here. Yeah, just some sort of effects. It looks like it's been pitched up by a fair amount. And then leading out of the first 32 bars is an effects here. That's the looks of it. Yeah, just a vengeance effects. All the low end rolled off. And then we get into a little bit of bass. It's like a little tease of the bass. And then bring in the drums and an extra synth line again from the K station, and it's just like an arpeggiated synth line. So that's just buried in the mix, just adds something extra, kind of builds up some tension. Yeah, so a light beat comes in. Looks like this is sampled off Bad Company. I mean, these samples aren't anything crazy. I mean, it's just, I was just trying to make a tune. So it doesn't matter where your samples come from. It's how they all kind of work together and gel together. Looks like I rolled off the bottom end, given it a bit of reverb, and sent it to what looks like a drum bus here. Okay, so extra beat comes in. It's like a super pitched up Hot Pants classic beat. So it just builds up, more effects. Big, long, effective build that rolls into the T space once again. Let's just have a look at all the beats. So we've got a tiny kick. Looks like it's really hyper pitched up. Some sort of funk break. Same break. That's the hi-hats from it. Okay, this is a kick, and it's just from a Vengeance pack. And it looks like I've just done some EQ here. So I've rolled off the bottom end. That's just to let the sub bass from the bass use that area, and boosted around 112 Hz by 6 dB, which is fairly substantial, and a boost at 2250 Hz, 3.5 dB, and that just gives your drum kick a bit of pop and helps it cut through the mix. Okay, this is a snare I've used many times before. I used it in Japer Remix, used it in Red Mat, and used it in Provide. Basically, it was a drum break sample from a fellowship tune. I then ran it through my brother's DBX compressor, which is like an outboard compressor. It's my brother's Fields, by the way, but yeah, ran it through that compressor, crunched it, made it even fatter, and then I think I EQ'd it, separated out the kicks and the snares and the hi-hats and EQ'd, and then bounced that whole kind of new process break. And from the looks of it, I just used the snare so far, with a bit of reverb on there, on the send, Space Designer. This is the hi-hat used from the intro. Okay, so this break has given us the kind of funky roll. This is the Hot Pants that was brought in the intro. That's the Bad Company sample brake. Some sort of other hat loop from a sample pack. Think hats with a funny little noise at the end. So yeah, that's the main bulk of the beat, and then as you can see, there's different percussion that comes in. Here's like some rides. They come in after a while. Just adds more energy, different switch up. Using percussion to keep things rolling along is something that I noticed Break doing in a lot of his tunes, 2006, 2007, 2008. A lot of Break tunes, the percussion used to just push things along, and that's what I liked about it. It was kind of funky and it rolled, and I think with Solar Plexus I was really trying to get that kind of progression that Break was getting. So you can see here something else comes in. It's a little bongo. And looks like something. Okay, it's just like a classic Apache break. So you know, all these noises have been used a million times before. Everyone's got them, but it's not what you've got is how you use it. It's an old phrase. Let's move on to the bass. Right. So let's have a look. So quite a lot of channels here. Let's go through and see exactly what's going on. Pure sub bass. So this is just the very low end. Looks like I've rolled off at 30 Hertz. I've given it a decent boost at 80 Hertz. And some more boosting at 70 Hertz, as you can see that big shelf there. A little notch out at 92 Hertz, minus 5 dB. That's to let the bottom end of the kick not clash with the bass. So as the kick hits and the bass hits at the same time, there's some room to breathe. And then there's a compressor, and it looks like I've got a side chain on the compressor. Bus 10 is what I use to send a kick to the side chain. I'll just show you that quickly. This is our main kick. So bus 10, I'll send the kick to bus 10, and then I'll mute out the output of bus 10. So all it's doing is like a ghost side chain. You won't hear that send, but it just it makes the compressor sidechain to the kick drum. So you can see the kick sidechaining to the bass there. So every time the kick hits, the compressor just slightly ducks out the bass, so there just leaves some room for each other to work. Right, so this is a little bit of bass. It's had all the bottom end rolled off. It's all on. This is all using the same patches. This bass patch was created by a friend of ours in Bristol called Al, and he made it using the Novation Supernova. He brought around this sort of one bass hit, and we've all used it. All the Bristol crew, Fields, Mako, we've all written tunes using it, or at least together we have. And it's just had loads of sub, really thick kind of sort of mids, and a nice bit of tops. And it was a really decent patch. So big up Al for that. And here I've used that for the sub, and also I just rolled off the bottom and used it for the tops. and then here I've got a filter on, and the cutoff is assigned to the LFO. So the LFO's set to 3/32, so it's pretty fast, kind of pacey rate, as you can hear. And then that top end is sent to a bus, which has a flanger, an EQ. Again, sub rolled off, but we're kind of boosting to make it sound fatter in the mix. And then an overdrive, which is giving it some crunch, making it louder. And when I go further down, probably a lot more different bass things are sent to the same bus. And this way, when you have different notes and different LFO speeds, when you send it to the same bus, then you tend to get the same sounds, because it's all going to the same bus. It's all being processed from the same plugins. Okay, so this is like the lead part of the bass. Again, rolled off, because this is like the tops. This time it's got some reverb on, but it's sent to the same bus. So this one again has got some LFO to filter. This time it's over 3/16, so it's like a slightly slower speed, giving it some whip. And then we've got another layer, again, this time similar. But what looks like I've done here is actually fine-tuned this layer up. And if you kind of, when you're layering your sort of mid and tops on top of your sub bass, and you've split the sub and the mid and tops out, you can actually then split the mid and tops again, and then have them fine-tuned away from each other. Yeah, you can see how this one's fine-tuned to be slightly higher, and that one's slightly lower, and that way, when they're layered on top of each other, you'll get a different kind of pulse. This is like just a classic technique to get a respace. So this is just a tiny little top end layer that's giving you just an extra little edge. So that's like a more of a thicker, growly layer. Okay, so that's more the same, which is basically up here. So they're all just layered on top of each other to give you the bass line. So it's just using LFO and splitting the subs and the tops, so that gives you some more room for experimentation. You can tend to leave the sub solid, so not necessarily with some LFO, because then it kind of tends to duck out the sub. So you just leave the sub kind of solid, and then just use the tops of the bass to give you the movement. So as we go further down, there's more bass here. Let's have a look, see. Again, it's all using the same sub bass patch. This time, this is sent to a slightly different bus. It looks like these three are sent to a slightly different bus, and with a Guitar Amp Pro, and that's just giving you a slightly different sound. So at the end of the 4-bar phrase, it gives you something else. So these noises coming in here looks like a bit of a cheeky samplage of a brain stitch bass. Brain stitch was done by Noisy. I think this particular one was taken from the break remix, and 2010 bass pack. I think that's something I might have got off Mako. Basically, we just went through and sampled every single drum and bass tune we had in our record collection and just took every bass hit, every beat, every noise that we could find. And then from there, you can just start building yourself a new track. I mean, some people are sort of seem to be against that, but every single drum and bass tune ever written has always either come from someone sampling from their own record collection or sample packs. So don't get too hung up where the noise comes from. I mean, it's not where it's coming from. It's how you manipulate it. It's how it fits in with your track. I mean, as long as you're not completely ripping people off, then it's all good. So that looks like that's pretty much it for the bass, and the rest just is a bunch of effects, all from sample packs. Looks like this is a zero G sample pack, and Vengeance sample packs, and the tune just progresses along. You've got extra percussion that comes in here, and just some bass edits. It's all about the edits, really. So once you've got the core of your tune, which is probably this bit here, that's usually where I'll start. I'll start with like an 8-bar loop, build a bass line, build a beat. That's just the start, really, and that's kind of almost like the easy bit. The hard bit then is making that 8-bar loop into like a 5-minute track, which is interesting the whole way, which has edits, but without being too far from what the original idea is from. Yeah, that's about it. I don't think we can really get anything more from that. Any questions, just ask and I can elaborate further. But yeah, big up for listening. Peace.